enough.
Sure.
So I'm just gonna experiment and get funky with it a little bit.
Absolutely.
Are we ready? Can we? Oh, we're rolling. Say action, just because I'm old school. Thank you. Hold on. All right. I gotta take the vocal. Oh, there we are. Check. Check one. Check two.
Yeah.
This is it. Welcome to the Cannabis Coffee Hour.
Yeah.
I'm your host, Rob Cantrell. I got a great guest, an amazing guest, a musician, a writer, just an inspiring good friend from Brooklyn, but
Yes,
now
indeed.
he lives in Tennessee. He has written 11 albums with his solo career, published 2 books that I've read. I'm a huge fan. I'm too lucky to have this guy here. He was in a band called Soul Coughing. He's my man. Please give it up for Mr. Mike Doughty.
Yo, Rob. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
Doing great.
Thanks for coming to the Cannabis Coffee Hour. We're here, and I'll take the beat off for a second, just establish our weight a little bit.
Right on.
We're here in Industry City. I'm here with Mike Doughty from Soul Coughing.
That's me.
It's the morning. It's rainy.
It's rainy.
You came here,
I did indeed.
and you just finished a big tour that I saw you at Terminal 5 with your band Soul Coughing.
Yeah, that's right. The reunion tour.
The reunion tour.
Big old reunion Jim Jam. Yep.
And you pulled it off.
We pulled it off. We were actually good.
You were amazing.
Yeah, thank you.
Amazing. One of the best shows. I don't want to blow this guy's smoke, 'cause I haven't seen that many shows lately. I've been doing wife and kids comedy, but I got to go see the Terminal 5 show, and it was perfect, my man.
Thanks. We really I think we were surprised how good we were. Really.
Yes.
Honestly, totally not shitting you at all. We expected it to be pretty good. We did not expect it to be really good, and I think it was really good.
You were really good.
Yeah, and it was all about, the fans. I hate to be the guy who says it's all about the fans, but it was in fact all about the fans.
You packed it out in big, huge concert hall, and everybody knew the music, and everybody knew the material, and you guys all presented it, and it sounded clear. It sounded amazing. And the thing that I love about Soul Coughing and you was just the speed of the beats. You guys go to 120,
Oh, hell
190.
Yep.
I'm turning it up here, but no other band. When I was jamming out to some of those tunes for the classic Soul Coughing tunes, I was like, these beats are nobody's doing these beats.
Yeah.
The Beasties were down to 80 and 90, but you guys were going up to, I don't know, it was kind of Dizzy the Rascal theory of kind of what was coming out of British. Were you guys influenced by that stuff?
Oh, big time. Drum and bass, jungle, absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. The Full Cycle crew from Bristol were our friends, and I kind of half lived in London for a minute, so I was going to the Blue Note and the Metalheads and all those drum and bass clubs, listening to the pirate radio, and yeah,
that scene is so amazing and so dense and so it's just so much fun.
Yeah, it was incredible fun at that time. It was so new, it was really something that people did not understand for a minute, which is amazing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and America never grabbed hold of it, because American hip hop is just it's almost like our ham and eggs.
Right.
It's almost like coming in hey, can we do our own ham and eggs? But sometimes it's good to have something different.
The drum and bass was ended up in a lot of car commercials.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was 94 Underground in the UK, 98, Ford Fiesta commercials.
Yes. Drum and bass, then came dubstep, was the next thing that evolved out of that, which I always found interesting. I'm going to say this bass is wild. Maybe that's not the tune. The drum and bass. Oh,
Yeah.
there we go. I thought it just needed to be a little bit funkier.
Oh yeah, that's like a 303 sound. That's nice.
Yeah, the bass is a 306. You're 100% right with that. But that tempo, what do you think? That's a 108. What do you think that tempo needs to be at?
I pull this back to 95.
Yeah, 95. I agree.
Pull this back to 95.
Ooh, you are right, my man.
Sort
Give
of
it
like
up
a
for Mike
Motown
Doughty. You got a good ear for beats, man. Yeah, there's so many great songs, whether it's Circle or Move Upside, and all your, $300, I still think is one of my favorite
cool.
tunes.
Yeah,
and you
yeah.
guys played it at that final turn. I saw the final show. It was
the
so
final show.
trippy, man.
Well, I shouldn't say it, but we're talking about doing more. We're talking about doing more.
I know.
Yeah.
I felt it. I felt it was too good, and I know the music industry, and I'm like, dude, they're selling. The fans
Yeah.
are happy.
Yeah,
the
yeah,
music sounds good, and not many people are pulling this up. I mean, not to like get into it, but yes, Jane's Addiction, ate itself trying to go back out on the road.
So we're taking up the hole that they left behind.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, Oasis. I just think at our age, it's harder for grown men to be like, all right, we're going to go on the road. We're going to do all these shows. We're all going to get along. The money's going to work out. Like, that is so difficult. And you guys pulled it off.
Yeah, we pulled it off. I mean, we pulled it off in every way, basically. Interpersonally, logistically, sonically, musically, in terms of people buying tickets. It was
Business-wise,
like
but everybody's spiritual. I think just to go back to it a little bit, it was taking the break that kept the art fresh.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Because when you go, just seeing comedians go out there and burn out, and lately I've been studying, doing a lot of Taoism, where it's like you sharpen the sword. When you sharpen it too much, it starts to go dull. And that's what happens to a lot of artists, especially when they reach the success that your band had.
Especially in music, I think.
Yeah, and especially performing music, because it is really hard. It does take a lot of energy to go on stage. Like, you went up there, and your energy's so chill. You literally just walk back and forth, and you're reciting your poetry, which is amazing. I know how hard it is to open up your heart and write serious stuff, even to a hip hop level. There's just so many things that you're kind of taking the blinders and putting them on and just doing yourself.
Yeah. I mean, I learned a lot from comedians. I was doing comedy shows as a musical guest for years. I learned a lot about walking around on stage.
Yes,
Seriously.
And
I learned a lot about like when to go over to stage left, when to go over to stage right, when to turn around, all that stuff.
Yeah. Because I do get it, because as a rock star, you kind of have this theater, but small comedy spaces where you were kind of checking out all these comedians work out, like, you really have to understand the space and play to the environment, and it makes a better show.
Pacing and timing and all
Yeah,
that
yeah,
stuff. Absolutely.
Instead of just somebody just standing there scared, trying to sing their heart, which we all understand.
Exactly. Or doing rock poses, which I guess I used to do back in the day. Did the rock poses because I didn't have any other frame of reference, but the comedy walking around the stage thing, I think, is the ticket.
Is the ticket. Yeah, I agree. It's a good look. I can't wait for you guys. I don't want to jinx it, but I also think it's amazing that you've already, as a solo artist, he has a Patreon that he puts a song out every week. You write a song every week.
It's like an open sketchbook vibe. So it's like something that ends up there could end up on a record in 4 years, or could end up in some other iteration in a year, or, I'm just sort of keeping the sketchbook open, and sort of the constant process, the discipline of writing music is just sort of open to the public, really.
Yeah, and you're kind of seeing inside the toolbox of a cat that sits down to write songs, usually just sits there and writes songs, and then oddly enough, they start to collect, and you start to stockpile, and then you just started letting them loose. By doing that every week, would you say your creative writing has gotten better? Would you say, as a writer, just turning stuff, or is it more just letting the art go?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like a 50s, 60s vibe in a certain sense, where they had to come up with a single every month. I mean, It's like a more hectic pace than that. But yeah, I like that kind of really throwback vibe of having to constantly generate material.
Bricklaying, yeah.
Exactly.
No. I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
creative, as a writer, as somebody that wants to write books, I just know what it takes, and
Sure.
especially with stand up, with music, it just takes those 10,000 hours, and you got to keep cranking it. But when you do, worlds start to open up.
Yeah.
Worlds that you never saw.
Hopefully. Yeah.
And song structure is a trippy one too.
Sure.
Because you could play with that all day long, whether to open with a chorus or have a bridge in the middle. And
yeah. I've been listening to this Brazilian music. I don't even know what it's called.
oh, nice.
But it's like favela, dance music, and it is the weirdest shit. It'll be like just a voice and this kind of snare that sounds like a hi-hat, or a hi-hat that sounds like a snare, and then everything will go out and there'll be like a bass line and a keyboard line, and it like never settles into like a beat and a bass line and a voice. It is the weirdest stuff. But like structurally, it's like they're just on a new level, and yeah, I'm trying to get into that.
And that's fun.
Oh, super fun.
That's fun because you don't have to stack them, and you can just concentrate on this one part.
Yeah.
And then try to maximize
Sure.
that. It's kind of like cutting out a song and it goes a cappella. You can
Sure.
just like, there's an amount of focus to that one piece. Yeah, no, I think everything needs to be dissected and looked apart
Sure.
and always overanalyzed, and I think that's the fun thing with art.
That's like the house music, techno, hip hop, 80s, 90s thing where it was all about sort of the balance. Element comes in, element is removed. Sort of Detroit build of, you start with a hat, and then there's a bass line, and there's a snare, and voice comes in 16 bars into it, kind of thing.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's infinite. Playing with
infinite.
music. Did you grow up? Did you learn? Did you take guitar lessons, or were you self-taught?
No, I was self-taught. Like eventually I would like meet people, because the town I grew up in, there were no other musicians, so I really had to learn by myself. And I like really early on just learned to play like one string and kind of yelp along with it, and that was kind of my initial songwriting process. Then I got into like E and A, just 2-note songs.
I'm about there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great place to be.
It's
man.
fun. Yeah. It's
Like,
fun.
once you learn to be complicated, you gotta find your way back to that, man.
Yeah.
Like absolutely. But eventually, I met people that also played, and they would like show me stuff. Show me how to play basically like Police songs. It was like 1985.
And that's kind of jazz guitar, though.
Oh, hell
Those
yeah.
are a little bit complicated.
Yeah, like the Andy Summers stuff, like
Yeah.
those really complicated chords. Yeah.
Yeah, those are really, really hard. I do love the punk rock. I do love the punk rock power chords. Is what I'm playing. Just
Absolutely.
the E and A.
Absolutely.
And then I read something about Nirvana just last week about Kurt Cobain. All of his songs are pretty easy to learn. Like they're all pretty much power chords. They're
yeah.
just easy goofball power
dude.
chords.
Yeah, dude.
And then, but what was cool about him was writing songs.
Sure.
I think writing songs, lyrics, that's the gold dust. That's what I
the
hear
gold
about the
dust.
music
Yeah.
business.
Yeah.
And his lyrics were just like, that's just a
Another
weirdo,
level,
good
another
artist.
level. Yeah.
Once in a lifetime type
Yeah,
of shit.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But the music itself, musically, sonically, was just fun, goofy power chords.
Simple, but like I remember a guy I know who's like a very complicated guitar guy who was giving lessons, been giving lessons his whole life, and some kid came in, wanted to learn all these Nirvana songs, and he was like, yeah, whatever, Nirvana songs. And then eventually he was like, holy shit, these are great. Like they're just, all these 3-note chords, power chords, but they're so great. Like they're so beautifully structured and
punchy and fun. Yeah,
Absolutely.
I think about Nirvana is just fun, and that's what I've been kind of thinking about my art. And I'm sure you're like, it has to be fun, or it's
be
just
fun.
not gonna be
Yeah.
fun, or it's just not gonna be worth your time.
And unfortunately, like the longer you live and the longer you do it, the more complicated you're able to be. You just learn too much stuff, so you have to actually consciously strip out stuff, which is difficult. You get
Every
really-
day in life. No, you're
Yeah.
100%. That's
Yeah.
like waking up and being like, okay, fuck everything that's ever happened to me. I am gonna be
Yep.
accepting whatever's coming my way. But as an artist, once you know all this shit, you start turning shit down. You become a dick in an artistic way.
Sure.
And sometimes that's stifling.
Absolutely.
So you got to always kind of like work on it. Do you meditate? Are you stretching? What's your yoga style?
No, I take boxing classes actually.
Oh, I love boxing.
Which is like a real vibe actually, like a real meditative vibe.
Totally.
Hitting that bag, man. It is not like an aggressive vibe. It's like sort of playing the drums in a way. I mean, I don't spar.
Yeah.
I just hit a bag.
No.
Yeah.
Same. I just joined the Y. And my move is I do the row machine for like 20 minutes, but then they have this track and they have a heavy bag. And then I just walk the track and then I go over to the heavy bag and I just, you got to get that old man anger out. So I hit that and it's down here. When you start doing this thing, like all that old ancient comes out from down there, all that anger. But then I lived in an apartment in San Francisco. They had a speed bag, and I'm not a badass, but to get high and put a Walkman on and rock a speed bag is one of the funnest things in life, man. Because there is a rhythm. To speed bag, that is pure drumming. Yeah. That is pure drumming. I'm sorry, I got excited.
It's really difficult to do that. I can barely do that.
I can barely do it. I got it, and then I've been watching new videos on like super pros doing it, and these old dudes barely touch it, and they're like, and they're saying it's all the rhythm and it's all your reaction to it, and you barely need to hit it, and you can control this whole vibe thing. It's the same
hyperspace kind of a vibe.
Yeah, going to super hyperspace. Guitar, you can go into hyperspace. Would you say you go into hyperspace with guitar now and that? Like, you've been playing it so long.
Yeah,
Do you ever just lose yourself and go?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, a lot of times I just, like, at a certain point in the morning, I'll just turn on the amp and just, like, play a drone for hours and hours, or a couple of chords, or just, like, I mean, really, I can rock one string for a really long time and just get into it, and just...
100%. No, there is a vibration that I do think after the form we go to it. And there is a higher vibration, and the one I love, and the one I've been playing guitar for 10 years, and I'm not good, but I love a Bo Diddley beat.
Yeah.
And I just make the Bo Diddley beat go for a half an hour, because there is I don't know, I do think it's like the sound bowls. There is kind of a hypnotic, and it kind of helps your brain and helps your organs. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Do you have a bass for the apartment? Do you have electric bass for the apartment?
Sure, I have a couple of them actually.
Oh, for the music nerds, can you tell them what we got?
I have a P bass, and then I actually have a telly bass.
Cool.
Yeah, which is a vibe.
Is it?
And then I have a lot of like old drum machines, like old Korg.
Yes.
Sort of like 80s, late 70s, early 80s drum machines. I've got this Elko box that used to be like strapped onto an organ. It's got like cha-cha, bossa nova. Yeah.
With the little clips, with the organ that goes click. Yeah. Those are amazing, man. Yeah. So much fun. And And how do you like living in Tennessee? Is there a lot of musicians in the town?
Oh, yeah. No, I love living in Memphis. I mean, Memphis sort of considers itself to be separate from the rest of the state of Tennessee.
There is a different vibe.
Yeah, it's a very different vibe. Have you been down there?
Yeah, well, I got uncles from Knoxville, and so we would go over to. Yeah, I've been over there. Cantrells are all over. I'm going down to Charlottesville tomorrow and seeing like 7 cousins.
Right on.
And but yeah. I need to go. I saw Elvis's house once.
Come visit me, man.
I'll come revisit you, my man.
My spare room, man.
I would love it. It's love
cool.
it.
Like I own a house and I got a room with just gear in it that I just use as a studio, and it's just very mellow. It's a little bit run down. Good vibe.
Good vibe.
Spooky town.
Oh, I love that.
Excellent people, excellent ribs.
Not much traffic.
Food is not amazing.
Yeah.
The ribs are life-changing.
Life-changing. No, I mean, as a guy, I love Southern cooking. And yeah, those little towns, you can get some of the best stuff. Mm-hmm. Not the healthiest stuff at times.
Not the healthiest stuff.
But it has soul and it has goodness.
You got to work on getting vegetables into your life. Definitely.
Yeah, you got to know a farmer. Yeah.
You got to know a farmer.
You always got to know a farmer. Yeah, your crowd was wild. There was one guy that I was standing next to Yeah, it was just like it felt like a lot of old New Yorkers were there at the Terminal 5 show.
Yeah.
It felt like all these artists. I don't know. There was one guy had some wild hats. It was just very eccentric, but cool eccentric. Like the eccentric I haven't seen in a while. You know, just that New York real artist vibe.
There's a lot of people that came to see us when we were a local band in New York.
Yeah, you started at the Knitting Factory,
that's right.
And it was by the Village Voice down there. Am I right?
It was on Houston and Mulberry.
Wow.
Yeah, it's where the bar used to be called Botanica. I think it's called something else now. Maybe.
Yeah, but I used to do comedy shows at Botanica. Yeah.
That back room, the little brick room in the back.
Yes.
That was the room where they would shove the folk singers into. It was called the Knot Room at the Knitting Factory. I played the Knot Room a lot. When I was like 19 years old, a lot of time in the Knot Room.
Wow.
Yeah.
It was just the side stage that it just like singer-songwriters that were 19. It was just, that was the same
like,
thing as stand-up.
What the hell do we do with this room, basically?
Yeah. There's so many places in the Village that are like that. And they'll never go away, and they're just packed, and it's just dreamers. But you do learn some lessons there. You can, but you can get lost. You didn't get lost. You guys figured it out. Was the other band members doing those gigs too, or they were sound dudes?
They were all doing various in the upstairs space at the Knitting Factory, which is where we started. We didn't start in the Knot Room, but they were just playing different gigs, different people, and. It was the kind of thing where, like, if you were a drummer or a bass player, you played in like 20 bands,
Yeah.
And there was a lot of like ad hoc stuff people would throw together, like, some trumpet player would get a Wednesday night and he would kind of throw a band together and they'd do improvised music or like experimental quasi jazz kind of stuff. Very, very fertile scene.
Yeah, because when there's no pressure,
there was
nobody pressure, I kind of remember the scene bubbling up, and it was away from the mainstream culture, and it was all like the weirdos and fun people, and it always bubbles up.
Yep, yes it does.
And it bubbles up in different ways in different places, but even today, I think there's scenes coming out.
Sure.
There's always some, and it usually takes a venue like the Knitting Factory. And then
you take some like misbegotten corner of the world where people just gravitate to
930 Club. Yep. We can go down, and then San Francisco has a bunch of like the Great American Music Hall. There was like there's so many like little jam rooms that everybody kind of come up and out of. But at your guys' height, you guys got top 20 single. You guys made it to the top 40.
No, we got
Casey
top
Kasem
40.
Said your name.
Casey Kasem never said our name.
He never said your name?
No.
Oh, damn.
Because our highest chart position was number 38.
38. He almost
top 40.
Oh, but you must have been.
So we are technically a one-hit wonder.
Yeah. I wouldn't say that. That your album.
I know nobody would say, but I kind of think it's a rarefied cultural position to be in, to be a one-hit wonder.
Yes.
Like I feel very kind of inordinately proud of being able to say I'm a one-hit wonder.
Having one song to go that big, it's so hard to go that fucking. Everybody makes fun of it, but it's like, dude, just to get near that, to make that many people happy.
Yeah, most people have no hits.
Yeah,
most people are no hit wonders.
Yeah, no hit wonders. Yeah, if you just have one, and I did read just the other day that Sir Mix-a-Lot, he's like, my lifestyle has not dropped off.
I read that.
Yeah, one iota since Baby got back.
Yep.
His royalties kept on coming.
Yep.
And I think he was on a super indie like label when that thing dropped.
He was.
I think it was like because I remember his scene. He had Posse on Broadway, but it wasn't.
On Broadway,
it was a great, but the Seattle scene wasn't like a main hip hop scene. They were like kind of looked down on, except Sir Mix-a-Lot had Posse on Broadway.
Right. Yes, indeed.
And then he came out with that thing, and that thing was top. That thing just crushed.
Yeah.
But getting to that point in that big, what were some of the biggest lineups in those Soul Coughings? I saw something Shudder to Think, like a cool punk rock one.
Yeah. We did one of our first tours was Shudder to Think, Sunny Day Real Estate, and Soul Coughing third on the bill. We did a lot of touring with Jeff Buckley.
Wow.
Which was fucking cool.
Yeah, I know you love him and respect him.
Yeah,
Yes,
he was like my bro back in the day.
You guys were both becoming successful and dealing with the same type of shit. Yeah.
Well, I mean, he was on another fucking level. He was like world historical figure, basically. You know, as opposed to just being like a really good band from the 90s. He was like clearly a legend in the making, you know.
Yeah, singer-songwriter. People really connect with his songs.
We played, our first show was with this New York band called Cop Shoot Cop. A little remembered band.
I think I do remember,
because they used to put posters everywhere in the East Village. They were like inescapable in the East Village, playing CBGB like every fucking 3 days or some shit. But great band, sort of like industrial band.
Yeah. Just known as artistically really good and pushing boundaries, and that you respect, and that. But did you ever cross paths with the Prodigy at all?
Sure. I mean, we did shows with the Prodigy where we were like, you know, 35th on the bill, and they were headlining, you know, like festivals in Europe and shit.
Yeah, those guys went to the dance hall beats. Their beats were up to about 120.
Yeah, they were like working 140, 150, I think.
Yeah, they were going. Firestarter was definitely up to about 140, 150 RPMs. But for them to be almost Guns N' Roses size to make it from that. To make it from an electronic scene is amazing. Like
one guy playing keyboards and 3 dancers, basically, which was amazing show.
Yeah, and it does come from that like trance, like I don't know, dance music kind of vibe.
Rave scene, early 90s rave scene, absolutely.
Were you ever in the rave scene? Did you ever go to some raves in the 90s?
Yeah. Well, I mean, when I lived, quote unquote, partially lived in London, I mean, I was out I was about to say every weekend, but really
every night,
every Wednesday through Monday, essentially.
Yes.
Tuesdays and Wednesdays were the rest days. Just like, you know, taking ease and dancing to DJs.
Yeah.
And you know, London at the time, Britain in general at the time, was just fucking wild. The music was just wild. The clubs were. I mean, there wasn't like, you know, the New York sort of bottle service thing. It was very like of the people, like
cool dance hall. That's what I was thinking. Like, because I remember before the internet, people would go out.
Yes.
And when they were in their 20s, people would go out hard, and they would go out, and especially in Europe, till 4 in the morning, and one night you would live 10 different lives.
Yeah, exactly.
And that was just great. How it was done. I don't know if they do it like that anymore.
I don't know. Like, you know, it's weird. I'm on a Facebook group. I'm old, so I'm on Facebook.
Same.
Yeah. Of like British ravers from the 80s and 90s. You know, and they're all like 50 to 60 and just like listening to them like reminisce, you know.
Ibiza. Yeah. Having a threesome in Ibiza when they were 23.
Kind of shit.
Seeing the sunrise. No, there's nothing wrong with it.
Talking about the different stamps that were on the E's, like Doves versus Mitsubishis, you know.
Ecstasy is such a trippy one. And I never got into hard drugs, but I did get into ecstasy the first time I took ecstasy.
Yeah.
You want to know where?
Yes, I do.
I was at a concert.
Who?
Jamiroquai. Future made up personality.
Wow. That must have hit different.
It hit great. I like Jamiroquai. I fuck with Jamiroquai. I like Stevie Wonder. I like happy music. I love dance music. Yeah, and there was kind of a European scene. I was hanging with some cool folks, and it was just a bunch of young 20. It was the first time I went to this one dude that was really into music was like, we got to go to Jamiroquai. I was like, all right. I wasn't like, go, but I kind of went with a group of people.
Right.
And it was an amazing experience. Music and ecstasy, but there is a kind of a dark side. And then I took it a couple other times. There is a dark side to drugs, like ecstasy, as you know.
Well, E's get fucking dark the next day.
Yeah.
Like fucking dark.
That was the only time like I thought about like, you know, really dark stuff. Was a day after that I was like, where's my life going?
Body's completely drained of serotonin and you're like living in misery essentially.
100%.
The worst Mondays of all time.
And during that, I had an office job. I was a sales guy. It was before comedy, and it was before I even knew myself. And I remember waking up and having to go out to Northern Virginia, like in a sales car, coat and tie.
Oh,
like,
wow. Oh, my God.
And that's what made me break free and then go out to San Francisco and start doing stand-up. But yeah, there is a dark side to ecstasy. But there's also a good side and a lot of fun on the other side. I saw a couple Fish shows, but the band that I always tripped out on was REM. Was a big ecstasy band.
Really?
Yeah.
That must have hit different.
Yeah. I
Like,
never saw, but that's REM, Rapid Eye Movement. Like they were tapped into, and it was when ecstasy was legal in the South. There was a point where it was kind of legal, and
it was totally legal.
And
until like 1986.
Yeah, I am Superman. I can see everything. That song's, I always thought, I read that it might have been, but who knows? Music has all kinds of meanings.
Sure.
And I was thinking about, like what we once talked about, and you liked early metal. Like we talked about the first Motley Crue album one time.
Yeah.
And the first Motley
Too Fast
Crue
for
album,
Love. Yeah,
it's
pretty great.
It's pretty as a rock and roll album, stripped down,
Pretty great.
nasty riffs,
Yeah.
good drumming, and that's pretty much what you want with rock and roll.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That album, I don't like them as a band totally, and I never was on it, but we talked about like that. That you were into metal.
Yeah,
How deep? Yeah, talk about your metalness.
I just listened to Knock 'Em Dead Kid off Shout at the Devil.
Oh, wow.
I just listened to it, yeah.
You like that album too, you told me.
I like some of the songs off that album.
Yes.
I love Knock 'Em Dead Kid and Bastard. Those are my two favorites.
I think I know those tunes. That's a good deep dive. That's a good deep dive.
And then like Iron Maiden for sure, Judas Priest for sure. What else?
Breaking the Law,
Oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah, Breaking the Law is great.
Breaking the Law, Electric Eye.
Oh, wow.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that is a good one.
Yeah.
I don't know it as well, but I know they're hits. I know. And then, Judas's Run to the Hills is the sickest riff ever.
Yeah.
What's one of your favorite guitar riffs of all time?
Oh, shit.
Besides your own, I know.
Sweet Leaf.
Yes.
Sweet Leaf, Rock and Roll by Led Zeppelin. You know who I think like the undersung one of the greatest guitar players of all time is Ani DeFranco.
Yes.
Insane guitar player.
Yes.
Like insane rhythmic, both hands, amazing riff. Like amazing riff.
I got it. Yeah.
Thinking about it. Yeah.
Or the guitar playing. Yeah.
Fire Door, amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
I saw her in Memphis. She came through, and her drummer had COVID. I guess it was a few years ago. So she didn't have a drummer, and it was just so great hearing her guitar stripped down with no rhythmic accompaniment. Like the whole clave of the music was the guitar. It was fantastic.
Yeah, that's the cool thing about guitar that I wanted. To hear somebody at that level play guitar, and then her voice, just to hear it all, and that the guitar is a rhythm instrument as well. That's what I love about it. And that's going,
right. Yeah, absolutely.
So if you know music, if somebody of her level, she can make it sound just. If the drummer didn't show up, she can figure it out.
Exactly. Her percussive sense is just insane.
Oh, that's so. And then people also, Joni Mitchell's another one.
Joni Mitchell's an incredible guitarist.
That's what Bob Dylan and them were like. She's a better guitarist than we are.
Have you seen Shadows and Light?
And is that all about that L.A.
it's
neighborhood?
It's a live show at Red Rocks.
Oh, wow.
And it's her and I don't remember the rest of the band, but Jaco Pastorius.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's so deep.
Yeah, she's so heavy as a writer and a performer, and she's still going.
Yeah.
And it's all about peace. Yeah. She's amazing. So many great female musicians out there, and female bassists I always love. That's why I say Talking Heads when they had the female. Yeah, that was just like. And then Smashing Pumpkins had a cool bassist that looked.
Sure.
It's great to even it out. Too many dudes, it gets rough.
Yes, it's good. It's good to have women on the tour bus with you.
Yes.
Definitely very helpful for the interpersonal lifestyle vibe to have more than one gender involved in the touring party.
Yes, more than one. And the same thing I've been thinking about crowds. Like the more diverse a crowd is,
Right.
the better.
Well, admittedly, soul coughing is like 3-1 men to women.
Yeah,
Like,
but it was diverse as hell, and you get everybody.
Yeah,
but
right.
there is some
but
dudes.
It's like dudes. It's
Yeah.
like a lot of dudes that look exactly like me.
And me.
Dudes,
Yeah.
shaved heads,
That's-
beards, and glasses.
Yeah.
A lot of those guys.
But those guys listen to music. They need music.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'm one of them. I can't fault them.
You can't fault them. It's good stuff. Yeah, it's just funny who comes out with your art when it starts to move along. Like your fan base, like who actually comes out. I remember you were tweeting, I don't know if you were tweeting, it may have been something else. It may have been Instagram, but you were talking about the fans that came out and what band shirts that they were wearing.
Yeah, a friend of mine made a list at the Philly show of all the shirts that he saw, and it was pretty wild.
Yeah.
Pretty broad cross section of the musical and movie world. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't get that band. You really can't get a handle on it. Like even the samples, you have it like a guy that's just plays samples.
Yep, exactly.
And they're great.
Yeah,
they're
insane.
amazing. The ones he
he's
was doing
insane.
these
Yeah,
textures of birds.
Yep.
And it was blowing my mind because to perform that live, instead of it does have this cinematic feel.
And
your music has that band has cinematic feel, I believe.
People took a lot of hallucinogens to soul coughing. We had that bonding experience with people that their early mushroom experiences were soul coughing based. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, my bong had a couple soul coughing CDs by it all through the 90s. I swear to God, I played them all. And it's some of my favorite music. I'm so glad that you guys got together and, started playing and doing it. And, but you do, that music gets licensed for films and television.
A little bit. It was on that show Reacher.
Yes.
Which I haven't watched. It was in what was the big movie about the Chicago Bulls?
Yeah. That was in the Michael Jordan film. You said The Upside.
Yeah.
I mean, that was one of the big.
Super Bonbon. Yep.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yep, that's the biggest one. Basically.
The biggest one, man. Yeah, Michael Jordan film. Your music's in the Michael Jordan film as he's going to dunk. That's insane. That is. Yoni, how much time are we at right now? I don't want to talk too. We got hot lights. Oh, we're good. Yeah, we got about 10 more minutes.
I can do that.
Oh, ska, because you're wearing a ska-like button.
Oh, this is a button from Canal Jean, which was the store in the 80s that everybody went to.
Yes.
One of my favorite celebrity sightings, my first week in New York, 1989, I saw Downtown Julie Brown.
Oh, yeah.
Canal Jean.
Yeah, Downtown Julie Brown.
And so they gave these buttons out, and only if you were super uncool, 15-year-old high school kid would you actually wear it. But Marianne Ways actually found this for me.
Oh, Marianne's the best. Shout out to Marianne Ways.
And I'm repping my 1985 vibe with this button. Yep.
Downtown Julie Brown, Dance MTV. And yeah, DC had Commander Salamander. Did you ever hear that?
No.
That's where you would get your punk rock boots. That's where they would all get their boots if you wanted to go turn punk rock. Commander Sal, if you wanted a razor blade. It was like a punk rock clothing store.
I can dig it.
That definitely had some buttons.
Sure.
Yeah, buttons are amazing. Do you like to rock buttons?
I like one button. Like that's my vibe. Is I have one, but I got a couple Black Sabbath buttons. I got a Soft Cell. What was their big song? Tainted Love. I got a Soft
Tainted.
Cell
button. Yeah. A good band.
Yep.
Yeah. It's nice to have one or two. And actually, I was going to wear one. I was looking for one. I had just a piece side. I was going to rock that joint.
Classic.
The classic. But I couldn't find it. Sometimes it's nice to have a little button.
It's like jewelry. It's like very, very inexpensive jewelry, essentially.
Yeah.
It's like a brooch, really.
But there is kind of like I don't know, like I did just start buying vinyl again. I got a record player,
Right on.
and I got a Mandrill album the other day.
Mandrill.
Yeah.
Nice.
If you know funk.
Yes.
Mandrill is it's dusty and it's scratched, but cleaning the apartment, it's got a lot of horns.
It's better dusty and scratched.
Yeah, it's
like definitely that adds to the experience.
Yeah,
To be sure.
Yeah. If you ever want to get into some funk, go out and check out some Mandrill.
For sure.
The music has just been so much fun getting back and playing guitar and these power chords. But Sweet Leaf is a song that
Sweet Leaf is. I'm a huge Black Sabbath fan.
I am too. Why is it so good?
I don't know. Like,
is it the tone? It's not that hard.
It's the riffs. It's the way. It's all three of those instrumentalists. The way they combine with Ozzy's voice. And one of the best things about him is how everybody cool shit on them from like 1969 to 1990 something.
You're right.
All of a sudden, everyone came out of the closet and was like, I love Black Sabbath.
Same thing with Zeppelin, too.
Have you heard the T-Pain cover of War Pigs?
I think so.
It is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Generals gather in their masses.
Precisely.
Just like witches in black masses. Evil minds that plot destruction. Yeah, Ozzy, just a 19-year-old singing that from London, coming out of this bombed out Birmingham. Yeah, I haven't partied in London, but is London fun not drinking? Like the reason I haven't gone.
Oh yeah.
You like it just for the culture?
Oh, it's just a great city. Oh,
just a great city.
Yeah,
People are cool.
People are great. I mean, if you like, some Americans are put off by the sense of humor that they constantly make fun of you as they make fun of each other.
Yes.
But that's like the vibe.
Yes.
If you like British humor, it's fabulous.
Yeah. I used to room, and the dude was from London, one of my roommates when I first lived in San Francisco, and he was cool. He was a chef, but he was young. But he was funny and just gave me shit all the time, and it's nice. Yeah, it's nice. They're cool folk. I need to tour Europe. I haven't been over there that much. Are you doing any solo? Will you like break off and do like just your own guitar and go to Europe or Ireland?
I was in Rome for a couple of weeks. I just got back.
Yes.
Yeah. Like treated myself to a Rome trip. Actually, it's actually a very cheap time to go to Europe, early November. So it sort of worked out perfectly. And I got some friends that live there. But I did a gig when I was there, just like a little low-key bar gig, solo acoustic, and it was great.
Oh wow! Yeah. And they gave you a room?
They gave me a room.
Yeah, right in Rome.
Yep, right in Rome.
A room in Rome and a gig. Forget about it, kid. You're living the life. Then that is amazing. And you. How long's your solo set? Like you do have a catalog. Like you can sit up there for 2 hours if you needed to be.
Massive catalog. Yeah, like 12 albums on my own, 3 Soul Coughing albums. It's a lot of songs.
You know a couple covers.
Yeah, I know some covers.
you can do some Chubby Checker. Yeah,
I've been doing some. I've been doing Cheap Trick's "Reach Out."
Oh, nice.
From the heavy metal soundtrack.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, whoa. That heavy metal soundtrack's amazing, and I watch it on YouTube. I like the film.
I haven't watched it since like 1981.
Yeah, I haven't watched, but it's the art is just insane. It's really wicked and dark, but funny and cool.
Very of its time.
Very of its time, and it went along with the music so well. Like, yeah, and I don't know much Cheap Trick except that their guitar riffs are so sick and simple.
Oh, hell yeah.
And simple and so much fun.
Yeah.
The Dream Police. The Dream Police. I mean, just the title of that song's insane.
Hell yeah.
Cheap Trick all day. Did you ever play with those guys?
Did I ever play with Cheap Trick?
They're probably still playing some, festivals and.
Yeah, no, I don't think I ever did. I mean, we used to go and do when the European festival circuit was it for festivals. I mean, we used to go over and be, like I was saying, 35th, 37th on the bill,
Yeah.
on the third stage, and then, you know, headlining would be like Madonna or some shit. But, so yeah, I would be shocked if we never were on a festival with Cheap Trick. But I don't have a specific memory of it.
What's your opinion? Because you're from the inside of festivals, and I played Bonnaroo, and that's amazing.
Sure.
As a comedian, it's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
But as a comedian, it's kind of like the stress is less because they set up everything.
Right.
It's kind of you just show up and rock. Does it feel that same way for you guys? Like the audience is, you don't have to draw, so to speak.
Well, I mean, yes and no.
No, yeah.
You get a lot of people like waiting for the next band, or, you know, still hanging around after the last band. A lot of people just wandering through. They're always really hard technically, like setting up is really difficult, and they're always really sweaty, and sometimes you're directly in the sun, but I don't mind them. I'll totally play them.
Yeah.
It's so much. I mean, the fun part is if you stay for the rest of the evening and you go wander around and see the other bands.
Yes.
And the rave tents back in those days were choice. Amazing. Like the rave tent at Puckle Pop.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Puckle Pop was a huge one. I think it was in Holland.
Oh,
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah, it was
And they would have like Fat Boy Slim at 4 a.m. or
those,
something.
Those kind of
I love the pop-up, late night weird musician that you get to check out. Yeah, festivals are just, if you're a pure music lover as a consumer,
Sure.
it's a good bang for your buck.
Absolutely.
Because you're going to see a bunch and you can see stuff you wouldn't spend money at.
Sure.
Yeah, man. The festivals are amazing. What the things that I really wanted to get in and ask you about? Your last solo album, and I'm still getting it done. I was listening to that this morning.
Yep.
And you worked with Mario Cantone, right?
Caldano Jr.
Caldano Jr. Caldano Jr. Mario Caldano Jr. Caldano. Am I doing it wrong?
You're doing it wrong, but it's so right somehow.
Yeah. If I see him, I'll give him a big hug. Caldano Jr. Mario Caldano.
Caldato.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah.
I got it. Mario Caldato.
Correct.
Caldot. I was putting a D where the T was.
There you go.
Stick the landing, Rob.
There you go.
Caldot, because this guy's is a legend, and I need to get his name right. And you worked with him.
I have.
And he worked with the Beastie Boys on some of their best albums.
He was like their guy for, you know, like their best period, in my opinion, which is like the Check Your Head.
Yes.
Ill Communication.
It's just
Hello
when.
Nasty. Yeah.
It's so much fun. It's still inspiring me to this day.
Yeah.
Because they kind of went hardcore hip hop, and then they were just like, well, let's just have fun.
They became like this jazz band.
Yeah.
Which is amazing.
Amazing.
Like they could do whatever the fuck they wanted.
Yes.
That was amazing.
And but they also weren't dummies. Artistically, weren't dummies at all.
They learned those instruments.
They learned the instrument, and they knew good shit, and they had good ears.
Yeah.
And they knew how to record stuff, so it came out really funky and cool. Like, you know.
Mario came in.
Yeah.
Made that shit sound amazing.
What was his background? Did you spend much time? I mean, you must have been in a room with him for days.
Hell
Did you guys talk Beastie shit?
Well, he kind of doesn't. He'll talk a little bit about that stuff, but it's like talking about your first marriage.
Yeah.
For him, I think. I mean, he's still like friends with those guys, and Money Mark. He's still very close to. Mark would come by. I did some shows with Mark, actually.
He's amazing organist.
He's incredible. Yeah.
And he knows his instruments.
Yes, he does.
And he's out there, and he's an artist. He works with like Beck and shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I mean, Mario was fucking great. He's like.
Was this in L.A. or did they come to you?
He's got a house.
He's got a house that you would go and work at.
Yep. And we made the records there, and he's like a wizard with the delays and stuff.
Yeah.
Like real sort of Lee Scratch Perry school of
dub
and shit out. Yes. Just so good. Plays it like an instrument. Really fantastic.
I've been looking at some dub effects. Yeah. Those pedals are so much fun, and he has them all. He's always, because you can tinker with this stuff forever, right?
Yeah. You got to get for this show. This is my recommendation.
Please.
You get a thing called a dub siren.
Yes.
Which makes like the
Yeah.
Makes those sounds, and you just hit a button and like twist a knob, and it makes those noises.
We are
It's
getting a
super
dub
fun.
siren. Yes. I love them. I did see Turntable Lab had these like custom made ones.
Yes.
They're like $300, but I was like, oh man, that would be a cool little
You get
setup.
one for like $150.
Yeah.
They got. I've got this one that was like made in Ukraine by some weirdo that I found on eBay. Yeah. They're
People
great.
make this music gear
Yes,
like
they
in
do.
their backyard,
Yes,
but
they do.
sometimes they sound. Sometimes
Amazing.
that's the
Yeah,
magic.
I mean, that's what this stuff was like in Jamaica in the 70s. So
Yeah. Work with what you got.
work with what you got.
I do want to buy a dub siren, but I also want to work with what I got in like, with doing the podcast. I'm figuring it out every time. And like you said, something I'm learning as I get older, everything's self-taught. Like,
Everything good is self-taught. Well, I mean, I say that I'm biased, but I think people that are motivated to teach themselves are a very valuable thing in culture.
and they figure out the problem better in a sense. Like, I don't know, I was doing this self-tape for these acting auditions, and I went over to the guy's house, and it was like, pat, 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 and he had it filmed. The lighting was everything. He cut the tape right there and turned it around. And I was like, how'd you learn? He was like, I'm 100% self-taught. Like, I just figured it out.
That's like
and kind of a light went off. I was like, you just got to do that with everything right now.
Sure do.
You know, because there's just so many options of cameras and mics and music. You know, you just got to figure out what works with you and then figure it out.
Yep, exactly.
That's what do you, so what's your next musical? Maybe a soul coughing new music, or you're not even there?
That's far in the distance if that's going to happen.
You guys are still coming over the tour. Like
I mean, we're still like super engaged with the old material basically. So I don't know where we'd start with that.
Yeah.
But I want to write another like all acoustic album at some point in the next few years. So I'm sort of gingerly trying to get back into that, trying to like strip away some of my like biases, which is weird to say, but you know, when you sit down with just a guitar, like there's a difficulty in self-simplifying almost.
Yeah.
Because I know so much now that like I keep wanting to do something complicated that basically sucks. So, you know, you got to like learn how to do E and A basically.
I know. With one of my favorite is that Cat Power album. That very first one is so stripped down.
Love that stuff.
And it's produced so simply, and that I'm just like, holy shit! Like that, like I could see you totally sitting down.
Yeah. That's what I want to do, basically.
Yeah, with your green. What kind of guitar? That's the coolest guitar.
Fender Coronado.
A Fender. Check out Mike's guitar. He didn't bring it because he's visiting family and running around. But I think it's one of the coolest, greenest guitars I've ever seen.
It is one green ass guitar. And I'm not ashamed to say I bought it because of a little money from Warner Brothers when I was 23 years old, and I walked into a store and I saw the green guitar and I was like, I don't know what that sounds like. I am going to buy that.
Yes. Right off the color. Sometimes that's all you need is a green. That's all you need.
That was like 33 years ago. So.
And it hasn't gotten stolen, and you still play it to this day.
It did get stolen, but the cops found it.
Oh
It
shit!
did get stolen. Yeah, somebody broke into my house in Memphis and stole it. Yep. And but the cops found it, which they were like shocked by. They're like, we can't believe we found your guitar, but we found your guitar.
What was that feeling like? Like, don't you love when you find something you lost? I'd always like when I lose my keys and I wig out and then I find it. I'm always like, remember this. Remember
the feeling.
Remember this feeling of that the world works out sometimes.
Oh, it was incredible. I mean, it felt like that's what was supposed to happen.
Yeah.
It felt like it was supposed to come back to me. But like having it stolen just was horrible.
I wouldn't wish that on anybody.
I mean, I don't. It was like a couple of kids, like literally like 13-year-olds, that like I left my window open.
Yes.
Yeah, like it's totally on me. I left the window open, and they came in and they took.
They're kind of smart. They grabbed the best thing.
They grabbed 2 guitars and like 1 speaker.
Can't get much for the speaker. Yeah,
can't get much for the
speaker and those guitars.
They just like piled everything they could out as quickly as they could, and then like their brother like snitched on him or something.
Good, yeah, good. They learned the lesson, And you got your guitar
I
back.
got my guitar back. Yeah.
And did you have a big gig coming up that you were like, oh fuck, I need to use another?
No, I didn't. I mean, it was just it was this very existential moment of like, okay, now I'm in the post-green guitar portion of my life, which didn't feel right. And the reason it didn't feel right was the guitar was coming back.
It's coming back.
I just felt it was coming back.
And the Soul Coughing tour was coming back.
It's coming back.
And you guys sold out all these venues, some big shows. Such a great feeling to go out there on tour
Totally,
and sell out because it's just hard to sell those tickets. And you guys sold them, and the fans went nuts.
We sold most of them on the first day.
Oh wow!
The day they went on sale. Like literally, our manager thought that the ticket system was broken. He was like, something is terribly wrong here. We can't have sold all the tickets in one day. But we sold all but like 2 shows sold out in a day.
It was a great show. Yeah. It was amazing. It was worth every penny anybody spent on that thing. It was just such a great, fun rock and roll show that you don't get to see. And it wasn't too long. It wasn't too short. You had some hits.
We had some hits. We played the hits.
You played the hits. People were happy. The girl came out on stage and sung with a dog.
Sang Janine, yep.
Sang Janine with her dog.
With her dog. She's become the person that always has the dog. Yeah.
And no opener. That's what you texted me. You were like, no opener. We go on at 8, and we are done by 9:45.
Our people are old.
Yeah. I appreciate it.
Babysitters to think about. They don't want an opener, and they want to be out of there by 10.
Their knees are hanging in there for 95 minutes max.
Exactly. Exactly.
And you guys did it and nailed it. Oh, what I was going to say is, have you ever scored a film? Like you guys, like you have very cinematic vibe.
The keyboard player, Mark Deliantoni, that's mostly what he does for a living now, is scores films.
Yeah, that's what I was feeling with that music and watching you guys play. I was like, somebody's scoring films.
I'd love to work on a film. There's all these different kind of machines you have to know how to use. Have to know how to do it all on your computer in your home studio, which I do not know how to do. I would need like an engineer doing the work. But in terms of like writing the music
but Warner Brothers can send that over.
I mean, if they wanted to, they haven't called yet.
Yeah. But to work at that level, to get in with the film companies where they're paying for your art, to sit there and have somebody at that level to edit everything would just be sick and so much fun. And you could easily do that. And the song I wanted to bring up was "Light Will Keep Your Heart Beating."
Keep your heart beating in the future. Yeah.
It's an amazing song. Anybody listen? It's a banjo on a funky beat.
Yeah.
And it's reverbed out and it's looped up beautifully. And that's the song. Was that ever in a movie? Like that song, I'm like, holy shit.
I gotta admit, it would probably sound pretty good in a movie.
It sounded amazing in a movie. And I'm only going to keep you around. Yoni, do you have a timestamp on this? It's 12 now. Yeah, so you got to run. And I was just going to say, banjo. Let's end it with banjo. But
fucking love the banjo.
And how long did you play for?
Oh, I mean, I played it. I mean, I picked it up in the producer's little mixing room. He just had it leaning against the wall, and I just figured out that little 3-note riff or whatever it was. Yeah, I just improvised that.
Oh,
I'm not a banjo player by any means.
Wow, you're not going up there with Steve Martin and tearing into the latest bluegrass.
Definitely not.
You pulled it off beautifully.
Thank you very much.
Because you took the essence of the banjo and made it sound funky as hell and very bright.
Yeah.
Very bright. And that's what I will say about your music. There is you got some dark shit too, but you also got some bright shit.
Sure.
And brightness is just the first time I took mushrooms. This is another weed story. Guess who I saw when I took mushrooms?
Who?
Maceo Parker.
Holy shit, that's amazing.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Horns hitting the face.
Wow.
Have you ever played with a horn section?
I've played with a saxophone player.
Yeah.
And a trombone player, but not a horn section.
Yeah. Horns, that's power.
That's power.
That's power when you got a horn section. You ain't messing. You got to pay those cats.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's heavy. All right, but I could sit here and drag you on forever, man. But I love you, and Mike Doughty, thank you so much for doing the podcast.
Rob Cantrell.
And check out Mike. He's got a great website. He's got a great Patreon. He's got two great books, albums. Check them all out. MikeDoughty.com.
Correct.
Peace and love out to the universe. That's it for us.